Hello, hi, hi, thanks for joining. We're waiting for our guests to join us and then we'll be starting shortly. I hope you all are doing very well. Hey, how are you? Our guest is here. Let me send her a request. I love your makeup. I love your makeup videos. We'll talk about that for another day. Hi, everybody that's joining in. Hello, I hope you guys are doing well. A little bit different attire from what we normally do, some fashion stuff. But when you're talking about money, you can't look funny. So a serious discussion, people. Hey, how are you? Make sure my volume is up. Santi's laughing. Hi, everybody that's joining in. Exactly. Once you're talking about money, you cannot look funny. You know what I mean?
All
Hey,
right.
hi, how are
I
you?
am up
Hello.
and running.
Personal hugs.
Hi, how are
I'm doing
you?
good, thanks. How are you doing? Hello, everybody that's joining in. Beautiful
Oh
outfit,
my
like
goodness.
always.
I'm doing good. Oh my goodness. This is so crazy. It's a lot going on right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's really a different dynamic. It's a different time. There's a lot of different things that's just going on all at one time. And I think especially for us, for residents of the up north states, we are definitely seeing some things that you would see in a movie per se.
I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty much it's surreal. I
Yeah.
honestly couldn't believe that I would be like living in this type of era.
Exactly.
Like, oh, you would think that this would happen to like your kids or something, right? So,
Exactly,
so it's
exactly. Especially, yeah, especially like I'm always a person that's always watching those movies and stuff, and I'm like, oh, if I was in that situation, blah blah blah. But now I'm actually going back to those movies to see what they're doing, so I can do too.
Oh
So
yeah, I'm a huge fan of
crazy.
sci-fi. So whenever I watch any of those movies, I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is gonna happen,
Yes. Oh
Because
God.
that
Yeah.
imagination has to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Exactly. So it's definitely some strange times we're living in, say the least.
for sure.
And yes, without further ado, we have Brittany here, who is not only a fashionista, but is also the finance guru and about budgeting. So a round warm of applause. I hear the claps, people. I hear the claps.
Hey y'all, how you doing?
Yes, hi, thank you for joining. So
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
of course, of course, of course. I felt that I couldn't ask anybody else. And I was just like, you know what, you're good at what you do. And not only
Mhm.
that, you have a great balance. So I was like, you know what, it's
Thank
only
you so
great
much.
to highlight that. No problem. So first, tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. Well, I am originally from Houston, Texas, H-Town, Third Ward. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Where the Beyonce
Random
fan?
Beyonce. Okay.
I hear them.
Just had to let everybody know what that is. But yeah, and yeah, I'm from Third Ward, and I come from like a really loving and supportive family. They're very determined to make sure that anything that I set my mind to, they are always there for me and always want me to succeed. My favorite thing, of course, is like fashion and finance. That's basically what I'm about. I love to help support people who basically need help with financing from budgeting or
Oh no, no, it's okay, no problem. It's okay. I mean, they're trying to get the same, advice
yeah,
to
I'm
give
like,
us. I
why are
don't
you
blame
calling me right now? I already told you.
I don't blame
Be
them.
on live. Be on live. Yeah, so I basically just like to help people with savings and budgeting, and then I also help vintage store owners with fashion marketing. We can get a little bit deeper into that a little bit later.
Wow. Yeah, please, please do. We'd love to hear a little bit more about that. So that kind of leads us to the next question is tell us about your business. So you could
Sure.
also tell us about all of those different aspects that you just spoke about as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. One thing I can just blurt out real quick. You all can visit my website. I actually have to update it on my Instagram, but you can go to www.brittanyroseconsulting.com.
Good.
And I basically about my business is fashion marketing. I like to help promote sustainable fashion, whether it is through event planning, fashion shows, or styling, or people who just need help in that area to try to figure out what they need to do in order to help promote their fashion business. And secondly, I provide basically complimentary budgeting strategies for people who need it.
Wow. 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 That is
Yeah.
great. And I think that leads us to another short question underneath that is how does one know that, hey, you know what? I think I need to possibly speak to somebody about budgeting or maybe trying to learn about finance. What are some things that people should be aware of to say, hey, these are some indicators that you may have to speak to a professional that could better help you manage money?
Okay. Well, I know personally on my website is I have a saving sheet, and then I also have a guide to budgeting. So that could be something that they could utilize. Also, do your research. Look at people who have been really successful in making sure that they contain their finances and built great businesses out of it. Do your research and Google, and make sure that it applies within your life, because sometimes I know that there are some people who like to either shop a lot or they like food, they're big foodies and they like to spend their money on food, or they like to travel. But my thing is make a budget for those things, right? So if you like to travel a lot, just make a particular budget as far as how much you're going to spend on that particular vacation, and then also do the work beforehand. So then that way, when you go on vacation, like you're not struggling. So you're
Yes.
not struggling trying to figure out what am I going to pay for, or sorry.
No problem. No problem. No problem so much.
Yeah. So just making sure that you have some type of plan, so then that way you can understand what it is that you need to do for the things that you love to do. So like me, I like to thrift shop, right? Yeah. So I have a particular amount of money that I'll spend on that. So each month or each paycheck, I'll just take a certain amount of money, put it to the side. That's my vintage fashion account, basically. So I'll use that to shop, so they can just kind of utilize that tool to do that for anything that they like to do in life.
Wow. And those are some great tips for everybody that just joined in. And I think one thing that most people, I can't really speak for our generation, but I would just say in general, I think we sometimes see the money, we see it in the bank account, and we say, oh man, I got a little $20 to burn. I see that line at Popeyes for the chicken.
Girl, listen, I understand.
2 people. Oh, I'm going to just go spend it on that, and not realizing that I do have groceries at home. I can save that $8, and that could actually go so much further than act like you said, than having a plan where it's to a point where you can say, oh, okay, you know what? It's in the budget versus just kind of like spending and then like feeling guilty about it later. Right.
Absolutely. I can definitely understand that. It's really all about self-control and what are your goals in life? What are the things that you really want to do past right now? We live in such an instantaneous society where we see everything, we want it, but as soon as we consume all of these things, how do you feel? Do you feel great for a moment? Or do you feel fulfilled and do you feel whole? So those things are you know, that's a pretty big, it's a pretty big deal. You have to just basically look within yourself and the things that you want to achieve in life. Um, I know for myself, I used to like blow my money. Like when I was in Houston, I used to blow my money because my parents basically paid for my housing, for my food, for like everything. And basically the money that I retrieved from going to work, I would just blow it. Like, what's the point? I already have everything that I need.
Yeah.
But moving to New York, you know, I made the
Yeah.
decision to move to New York so that I can stand on my own 2 feet. So then that way I can prove not only to myself, but the combination between me and God mixing and making sure that I am doing what I need to do in order to feel fulfilled, like
Yes.
everything isn't being handed to me. And I feel like that can be kind of suffocating.
It can be, and I think that's a really good point. And I think that probably towards the end of the discussion, we're going to circle back into that as far as like moving and how moving to a different city and that cost of living is very different from what we grew up on. And like you said, living in Houston, myself, I grew up in Central Florida, Orlando. So the cost of living in Orlando is completely different. As a matter of fact, astronomically very different compared to New York City, and I'm pretty sure compared to cities like LA and California.
Yeah.
So it's a great, so we'll definitely circle along about that, circle back to that particular comment, because I think a lot of our viewers, due to this COVID pandemic, may have to relocate, may have to consider thinking about looking at different options that may be more affordable, or they may be trying to look at different cities where they may try to see if they can get a job, and then they have to be aware about those different jump in costs. So
for sure.
So we'll come back to that. So that leads on to my third question is, what made you interested in financial literacy?
Well, after I moved to New York, I just kind of realized that I didn't have a strategy. I basically moved to New York with the clothes on my back. I basically had one little suitcase and just like a certain amount of money just to last me for the next month. And I'm like, yo, like your girl is over here struggling. The first time ever in life, and I was just like, what? But it was a fulfilling moment. It was gratification for me. However, it was just mainly about just making sure that you believe in yourself and that you're making these strides in order to be a better person and to view your finances in a more strategic way. Moving to New York basically made me look at it a lot more seriously, because you know the rent here is crazy high. The amount of money that I'm spending on an apartment right now, I could have a freaking mansion in Houston, Texas. It's renting for a month, you know. So living here and with transportation and how everything is so expensive, it takes a lot of sacrifice to move here when you don't have like this humongous corporate with tons of money every year. You know?
Exactly. And I couldn't agree more with you on that, because I feel like our stories are very similar. I know when I moved to New York, I had one large suitcase and one carry-on suitcase. And I remember I felt like coming to America. I was just like, what? Like, I am really here, people. Okay, so like, what's next? And I think it was just like, as the days go by, I'm just like you said, just moving is very expensive. So to each is their own. But at that time, it was just very limited cash flow. Actually, matter of fact, I wasn't even working yet. So it was just very, very, very condensed. And understanding that dynamic of being in a position where like cash flow is very low, and then also understanding that I don't want to put myself in that position anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know how it feels. You're like, oh, I know how it feels to be struggling on the ramen, to having a hard time trying to move and pack up like multiple years because real estate is completely ridiculous. So,
It really is. And
yeah.
we'll even touch on that too, because I think that's another great comment we could talk about as far as rent and
Mm-hmm.
knowing what are some good factors to say to yourself, okay, I do want this luxury high rise, but the cost of that high rise and the cost of transportation, is that over exceeding what you're actually making
Right.
versus um is it in an affordable range for you? And I think that's very important. And I think especially living in
Right.
a larger city, it is very important because that extra dollar on and off of how you pay with rent and transportation can
Mm-hmm.
completely either keep you leveled or just blow your money out of
That's
proportion.
That's so true. That
Yeah.
is so true. Yeah,
Oh
you got to
yeah.
be careful with that one.
Yes.
You have to, like I said earlier, you have to have self-control. And then you also just need to make sure that you're making wise decisions when it comes to your money and your finances.
Yes. I agree.
Yeah.
And I feel that leads us to our next question as
Hmm.
far as what advice would you give to someone that does not know about finances in general?
Hmm. Honestly, do your research. Look up savings plans, look up budgeting plans, look up the best stocks to to invest right now. I know Ashley Fox right now. She is an amazing person as far as trying to learn about stocks. Right now, she has a current seminar that's going on. So if you ever get a chance, go to Ashley and Fox, and she'll be able to touch a little bit more on stocks and investment and investing right now. Um, yeah, just like I said earlier, do your research and also I think really budgeting is mainly the number one key. You can have a savings plan, you can have a checking account plan, you can also have different plans as far as wanting to go shopping, like I said earlier, or different types of restaurants that you really like to eat out.
Right.
You can have a different lump sum of money for those individual things.
Oh, great, great, great. I think those are really good tips that you mentioned. I also want to throw this out there. I don't know, do you have a Facebook group for your business yet?
No, I don't.
I would highly recommend that you start a Facebook group because there's a couple of Facebook groups that I've joined.
Uh-huh.
Um, and they talk about, some are about saving, some are about
Okay.
credit, some are about just overall how to buy a house, some are about
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of different things. And when I tell you that learning a page from somebody's book, I mean,
Yeah.
learning a page from somebody's past chapter in life, it really explains so much. And it's almost like you said, free resources that
Yeah,
you don't have
it
to
is.
do. Yeah, it's free resources that you can also learn on YouTube University, I like to call it. But yeah, I really
That's
recommend
true.
making
There's a lot of
yeah,
tools out there.
yeah,
There's a lot of tools out there.
definitely.
You have Google, you have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have Facebook. I mean, there's so many different types of avenues that you could take a look at and just use the pound budget sign and you
Yes,
can easily look up anything that
exactly.
you need. Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would really recommend getting the Facebook group because with your Facebook group and let us know when you do make it so we could be able to send that out and people could be able to join and you could post information about that because I think with the Facebook group and it really brings it home as far as that, you know what? I'm in this group of people. We all want the same thing. That's why we're in this group. So
That's true.
it's a judgment free zone. And I feel that it's okay to ask questions and it's okay to help
Mm-hmm.
each other. So
Oh,
definitely
absolutely.
recommend that. So I think that's a great way to start with trying to find out about finances is aligning yourself with those questions and be open to ask and don't be ashamed to say, you know what, I do need help. I spend $500 every week on popsicles. I
Yeah.
have to do better. So yes, I
Yeah,
think
for
yes.
sure.
So I think one of the other tips I can also add to that is don't be ashamed and be open. Be
Mm-hmm.
open to advice, be open to criticism, be open to
Right. That's so true.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, because there
Oh
are a
yeah.
lot of different companies here in New York. I believe the affordable housing. They have different avenues, like in Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens. Um, they have different areas where they actually not only help you try to find an apartment, they also help you to budget as well and actually and sit down and talk to you about your credit as well. So and it's a free service.
Wow.
So, yeah. So, and that's also on my website too. I have that as well.
Oh, great, great. So
Mm-hmm.
let me see. Give me a minute. Maybe I could pin that information. What is your website?
www.
Okay.
BrittanyRoseConsulting.com. www.BrittanyRoseConsulting.com. Yeah.
Okay. I just put this thing. I wonder if I could pin this. Sorry, people. I'm now learning technology.
Girl, listen, don't you feel old sometimes? I'll be like, what? You gotta do what?
Normally they would pin, I don't know. If somebody could pin it for me, please. I'm not sure what's going on here. But if not, don't worry. I normally do like a weekly, it's been a weekly newsletter, so we'll get all that information.
Okay.
And then we'll have Brittany's IG as well. So more people are coming in. So I think we can move on to the next question, which I think is, you guys are right on time because this is a really good question. You know, it says COVID-19 hasn't been the easiest transition for people as far as finances. What are some tips to save money, especially in this crazy time that we're living in?
Oh man, this time is so crazy. People, you know, they're losing their jobs. They're losing their sanity in their lives, their normal lives that they're used to living. I definitely am sympathetic for the people who are having a really rough time right now. I think that the best thing that you could do right now is do something like possibly cutting back on groceries. Also, right now, the fact that we're not really using transportation as much, you can utilize those funds and keep them in home. Yes. Also, as far as your stimulus check, if you've already received it, I would recommend, if you can, keep that and throw that either in your savings or help build that or put that money like in your checking account so you can have a healthy balance of a certain amount of money in your checking account. So when you're, you know, going grocery shopping or when you're doing the things that you need to do, you feel confident that nothing is going to happen as far as your car getting declined or you're not being able to pay for the things that you need. So if you can really not use your stimulus check, I think that would be the best thing right now. Also, because the stock market is down, it's a great tool right now to just start going into investing. Right now, I even have an Acorns account. So every time I actually purchase something, whether it's groceries or whether it's something for the house, it takes a portion of what I'm already spending and it puts it into that Acorn account. And so when you look at your Acorn account and your bank account, you don't even miss it because it's going out of your account already.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I think those are really great tips. And I think that what you've also mentioned that I think people need to also understand is that there are apps on your phone that you could download for free and use it to your advantage, like the Acorns app. I was part of Capital for a while. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one was really good. And I used that where it could take out certain dollar amounts and it could save that as well. Yeah. And, I think that those are really, really, really good tips because right now, if people haven't noticed, the economy is really, really different. It's different than we've ever seen it before. And I think even to add to your discussion with that, I think this is also a really good time for people to focus on their credit and also make sure that your debt is very low. And
absolutely. Right now, even student loans, there's no interest right now. So you need to go ahead and start paying it.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to pay it. Go ahead and although you know they have stipulations in place right now where you don't have to, but I'm a bit more proactive. So when I saw that it was 0 interest, I was like, oh, I'm about to pay this. Like I'm not going to use an opportunity to skip that because next thing you know, that interest rate is going to go back to where it used to be, or possibly even higher within the economy going on right now. So utilize that right now.
Exactly. I've been saying that for a while. I've been saying that, especially when it comes down to credit cards and interest and stuff like that. And if any of our viewers are untoo familiar about what that exactly is, please feel free to just drop in some smaller comments and then we could just kind of clear that up just so we can make sure that you guys are all on the same page. But when it comes down to credit card debt and stuff like that, I think that right now, any kind of outstanding debt is not a good thing to have, because it will kind of also hinder you in a way where you're not able to make financial decisions as far as, okay, if I have all this debt right now, I can't be able to afford that and still pay rent. And if you're not working, so it's going to cause you to still just have that debt to pile up. And I think that's one of the scariest ways and one of the ugliest ways, I like to say, to be stuck in a hole. So
That's
yeah, yeah. So I think that looking at debt is another key thing that we should definitely do right now. And and like this times, and like you said, again, I know we're talking about it from a New York aspect, but I think with a lot of us also have to understand is that for those that may be getting some kind of income, or even like you mentioned with the stimulus check, don't take this, like, we have to really look at our mindsets and say, oh, this is not extra money to us. This is something that, let's say this is all the money that we have. How are we going to make this work, and how are we going to make this stretch for a while? Because I think that this COVID situation has really leveled the playing field to say, okay, I could go without this for right now. So we kind of have to kind of continue that mindset if we want to achieve money to save.
Because I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and he was just like, I can't believe you were able to move during COVID, and let alone move from Brooklyn to New Jersey. And I was like, listen, this plan that I've been telling people about, that's on my website, I utilize that.
Yes,
it's a part of my life. It's a lifestyle. So I've been saving way before COVID even happened.
Exactly. And if you like, I know that that will be one of the other questions later on, but please, we would like to hear a little bit of that story if you'd like to share with us. I know, especially right now, it's not easy to just move, because some people may be with roommates and they're not able to move. Or if you want to talk a little bit about that, I think that's something that we could definitely learn something from. So
okay. Yeah, so I aggressively started saving probably about maybe 3 years ago. Before that, it was like moderately, but aggressively about 3 years ago. And it's so weird because sometimes, do you have you ever had this feeling that, that something was about to come? Like you don't know what it is, but something is about to happen. It's your spirit. So that's basically what I felt. And I was like, okay, well, I need to do something, because during that time I had just turned 30, and I'm like, the only thing I have to show for it. Oh no, I'm 30. I'm about to be 33 now. So
go girl, look good, looking like 20.
Thank you. God is good. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm about to turn 30 and I have nothing to show for it. And I was like, that's not about to happen. So I just ended up saying no to just different things, like no to shopping so often, or no to eating out quite as often, or eating home and then grabbing a drink with some friends that might just end up being $15 once I actually go to the restaurant. And I just wanted to make sure that I wanted a healthy living environment, because the past 5 years I haven't really had a great living situation. It was either roommate chaos or landlord stuff.
Ooh.
This last time it was like me and the landlord, we are head to head. We are not we do not live on the same playing field.
And
so
I agree more with you on that. Maybe we will discuss living situations in New York another live one day, people.
Yeah, for sure. So that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, so my determination was to get to a place where I was comfortable enough to where I could spend my money on a great apartment where I felt home, where I felt like it was home and where I felt like it was comfortable. So I sacrificed those years to be uncomfortable in order to eventually get to the point to where I will be uncomfortable. So that's the same thing with saving and budgeting and doing all these other things as far as finances are concerned. You're going to have to be in an uncomfortable situation. You got to get used to you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable,
Yes.
right? So, but it's up until you get to that point to where you say, okay, well, I want to do this day or this year, and make that plan. So then that way, this has to happen. So whatever else goes on in life, I need to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence in order to get to where I want to go. And once I reached here, I'm absolutely grateful. I have gone through so many different things you cannot imagine, but I'm just definitely blessed to just be in a place where I finally feel, comfortable.
Yeah. And I think that's very important because especially being in New York, and I must say before I even get started on that spiel, I'm very proud of you, and that takes a lot. Like you said, you have to be uncomfortable to be comfortable, and I think that being uncomfortable feeling will put you in a position where you never want to be there again.
That's so true.
And I must say,
and it doesn't last always.
Exactly.
It's a short time, and I think that's why you should be, if you're uncomfortable in one area of your life, make sure that you're surrounded just by like the right kind of people, the right type of people who are pouring into your lives and who are really speaking positively about you and want positive things for you in your life, because that alone helped me with being uncomfortable. It's like I might be uncomfortable here, but as soon as I walk out those doors, I have a support system, a group of friends here in New York, or people that I care about, and a cousin here who want the best for me and for themselves as well.
Exactly. And I'm very happy to hear that. And one thing that you did mention that I feel that people could definitely understand that this is something that you could control is that having the right people around you. And sometimes it may not necessarily come at you like, oh, people that buy you think, no, it comes at making sure that they support your goals and values. If they see if they're in a situation, it would kind of encourage you to say, hey, you know what you need to do. You need to save your money, X, Y, and Z. And I'm very happy to hear that. And I do believe that if that's not something that we did not take away from this quarantine, that's one thing we definitely took away. As far as it's like, wow, you know what? So many things is going on around us.
Yeah.
But I always like to say the right people will always greet you at the top.
That's so true.
That's just me.
That's so true. You just have to be yourself wholeheartedly. I remember I was talking to one of my friends last year about a savings plan, and we made a mark for her to reach 10K, and I told her, you should be saving this amount every paycheck that you get. And you should, by 6 months, you need to have at least $5,000. So then that way, after that, for the next 6 months, you can have another 5, and that you'll end up with 10K in your account. She basically hit me up about a month ago, because we talk regularly. So she basically hit me a month ago, and she reached her mark. And wow. Yeah, so she lives in Brooklyn, and she was able to stick to the plan and have $10,000 in a bank account.
Wow. And I don't want to say that's unrealistic, because anything is possible if you stick your mind to, but that being in an expensive city as that, you could make it happen. And it's not about the expenses, it's how you manage it per se. Right?
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome. So I think that leads us to our next question is, what are some positive practices we should be doing daily to promote healthy finance management? But I think I'm going to alter this question by saying savings. Oh, and we do have a question that says, what advice would you both give about saving / moving to another state, and how long would it take to actually save? I'll let you start off with that.
Said how long? Can you repeat the question?
Sure. What advice would you both give about saving / moving to another state, and how long would it take to actually save?
How long will it actually save? I would suggest, if you are planning on moving, take a good minimum a year, maximum 2-3 years. If you know that you want to move and you're trying to build up to that, the best thing that you can do is, number one, have a set amount of lump sum of have a set amount of money aside for when you actually get here, because you never know how much your rent is going to cost. You don't know right now how much your deposit is going to be. I know myself, I traveled back and forth from New York probably maybe 3 times until I actually received a place to stay. Also, if you have someone that you already know in that state, you could also try to connect with them, or even a family member connect with them and see if you could stay for a certain amount of time. I wouldn't suggest like a year or anything, maybe just like at the max 2-3 months. So then that way you can make sure that you're in that state and making sure that you're able to receive an apartment or a roommate or something like that. So then that way you're already there and you're not having to fly and spend a bunch of money trying to go back and forth. Like I said previously, I would suggest saving by minimum at least a year, because if you know you're going to move, I would suggest, it depends on where you are going to move, but by minimum, I would say save up $5,000 by minimum.
Well said. Well said. I'll say something about that. Saving and moving to another state. I will talk about my story, and my story is very off, you know. So prior to me moving here to New York, I was unemployed, but I was more so freelancing. So freelancing is a position where you might make some money here. The other day it was scary, but it's like, okay, you know what? Still, it wasn't like money was coming in, so I had to make it work. So honestly, at that time, I was fortunate enough. My parents, they helped me out a lot, and they helped buy my ticket to New York when it was time for me to move to New York. When I tell you I came to New York, I was damn broke. Like, I was very broke, only because, again, I was freelancing. So sometimes you're placed in a position where you have to move quicker than you think, and it's like you just have to up and go, and you don't have time to save. But let me tell you, because I didn't have time to save, because I wasn't working and I was still kind of saving what I was doing freelancing. And when I did started working, I made sure that 50%, like half of my paycheck was going back into savings. And the other half, I was making it work. I didn't care if it was just like $100 a week I was living on and just eating crackers. I had to make it work, because I wanted to make sure that now money, all right, not only am I making up for trying to save, and then trying to, let's say, take care of things because I wasn't working, you have to make that work. So one of the best advice I could give to yourself is that look at the state that you're looking at. Look at the state that you want to move to. Talk to people that already lives there. Ask them, how is their commute? What is one thing that they wish that they knew prior to moving here, and so on. So really reach out to people in that particular state, and not only to that state, but that particular city that you want to live. Like, for example, everybody thinks that everybody lives in Manhattan here in New York. Not necessarily, but I mean, I wish.
I know that'd be great, huh?
That'd be great. You know, that'd be nice. But I think reach out to the people that want to live. You want to live in that particular city. Like, for example, there's a lot of people that live in the boroughs compared to living in Manhattan, because the boroughs is a little bit more affordable. Talk to somebody that living in Queens. Talk to somebody that lives in Brooklyn. Ask them, what do you like about this borough? What do you like about this place? See what is your preferences. And then lastly, another thing that I would say, as far as, let me see what, the other question, how long would it take to actually save? I would say set a goal for yourself. And just kind of really wrapping up that summary is, sometimes life throws things at you and it's very unpredictable and you're unsure of how you want to do it. But the best thing you could tell yourself is, all right, take it in small increments and say, all right, this is what I'm going to do when I move there. Now that I'm here, it's a different dynamic. Accept that and keep going. Because the moment that you realize that, hey, this is not like how it used to be where you used to live, it could scare you. And then that's how a lot of people fail within their first year of not living in the right state.
That's so true. It's a hit or miss. It's like how badly do you really want it? Exactly. How badly do you want to live in this state? What does that state have to offer you where no other state can? I know myself, when I moved to New York, I transferred from work because I was working in retail, and then I ended up going into fashion marketing for a company in Manhattan, and then all of a sudden, after a year of working there, they were like, "Oh, here's your severance pay. We don't need you anymore. We're restructuring."
That's
Y'all restructuring.
I think that's a great point. Oh, one viewer said, I love both views as I'm moving to Dallas from Orlando, and it has been a month and I couldn't save as much, but this helped a lot. And congratulations to you. I think you're going to really enjoy Dallas. And remember that, you know what? The same skills that you are applying in Orlando, apply in Dallas as well, but just make it better. You know what you need to do now. It's not like you didn't know before. Now you know what you need to do. And I think that's another great thing that I'm going to really touch on, what you just said about employment. Whether you're freelancing or if you're working for a corporation or if you're working at the top of KFC, who knows, whatever. Make sure that you're stable. Just don't just jump into something and say, ooh, look at that apartment with the condo and the penthouse.
Right.
Because it look good.
Yeah, don't do yourself like that.
Make sure the place is stable. And when I say place, the company that you're working for is stable. The industry is stable, because look at Corona right now. Unfortunately, I have a lot of friends that work in retail, and now they're either unemployed or they're furloughed because the industry. A lot of people right now are looking at essentials versus what is going on and not needing that need. So look at those things and tell yourself, okay, you know what? Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to be in my dream job, but just not right now.
Right. And that's okay. And that's okay. Perfectly fine. Like,
that's okay.
Like when I was saying earlier, and I ended up, they said, oh, you know, you have to, here's your severance pay, you know, that's it. And I'm like, oh, I'm leaving now.
Wow. Yeah.
So, girl, they
were plants on the desk, please.
Girl. I'm like, okay, y'all restructuring right now. So even after that, I was on an unemployment for 6 months. I didn't have a job at all. Yeah. So during that time, I would use it to pay my rent and also basically have the bare necessities. And that was it. And I was still able to utilize those funds in order to move after the 6 months when I was unemployed, because my lease was up during that time. So you can still do the things that you need to do with furlough and with unemployment. You just have to strategize and be very strategic.
I agree, because even for myself last year when I had to receive unemployment and I wasn't working like that, I mean, I had to look and see what makes sense. Do I need this gym membership right now? Oh, packs of hot dogs I bought last week. Did I really? Yeah. No, like I just was just like, okay, these are some things that I'm gonna have to do, and I'm gonna have to do it right now, because the more that you can save yourself right now is the more it will save yourself in the end. So definitely,
absolutely. Because if you can cut that cable out. If you need to cut that Netflix off, cut that Netflix off, girl. Get you a book.
Exactly. That's okay. Watch C-SPAN. Just watch C-SPAN. That's a cartoon anyway. So I think that leads us up to one of our following questions is, can you tell us a little bit about your consultation services and what exactly you offer, just in case anybody's interested? And then I will also open up this time for people to ask questions, because I see it is getting close to the Instagram police like to kick people off. So we definitely want to get your questions in. So hey, Fabian, that's just joined. Hi. So please, you guys, make sure and get your questions in. We don't want this to cut off. Not at all. They're so mean.
I know, why do us like that? Well, I'll answer a question real quick. Well, my consulting services, I basically provide complimentary budgeting strategies for people. So if that's something that you need, that my current budgeting sheets and my current savings plan can't give you on my website, you could definitely just DM me and we can help together to figure out a plan. I would love to help. This is actually something that I'm doing just for people in general, and it's something that makes me happy because I've been able to do it, and your biggest lesson is yourself.
I agree.
So yeah, just, other than that, uh, other than that, I do fashion marketing for companies who need assistance as far as vintage store owners or small businesses who have a clothing line. I have a YouTube show called Vintage Form where I showcase vintage store owners, and I basically interview them, and then we also have a fashion show at the end, so it's a great exposure. Other than that, I've worked with, you can look at Tracy Chambers Vintage. I've worked with her through styling and also being a model for her, and then also helping her do event planning and even fashion shows as well. So the spectrum basically falls down under fashion marketing and complimentary budgeting services.
Wow, wow, well-rounded and very versatile. So proud of you. Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Thank you. We do have another question here. We have two. One is in the comment box there. It says, what's the best way to start a savings plan?
The best way to start a savings plan, what you can do is go to your bank where you already have a checking account and add a savings plan. Um, For me, the I get paid biweekly, so the first check, of course, like goes for me, like goes to rent, and then it goes to, utilities. But that second check basically is full on, and I basically don't really need to spend anything with that amount. So I basically split half of that and just throw it in my savings whenever I need to, and especially whenever you receive your not only your stimulus check, but also when you do your taxes, and when you receive that lump sum, it's the best time to build your savings account with that amount of money as well. But yeah, so basically just go into wherever you reside with your bank right now, add a savings account, and start to put money into it.
Wonderful. And I
Yeah.
think some great advice. And I would like to add to that. I think some people, they may be saying to themselves, well, oh man, oh, well, I live in paycheck to paycheck. I necessarily can't afford to take that little $10 and put it away to save because my whole paycheck is my whole, like, is all of my finances. And I think at
Hmm.
this point, multiple streams of income will
Absolutely.
definitely help you. And I'm not saying go out there and be a PE coach, but what I'm saying is that
No,
do
absolutely.
something that you love that okay, that also is in your balance of time, and then you
Yep.
can make a little extra bucks off.
Hmm.
Selling things on eBay, selling things on Poshmark, if you could help it, somebody mow the lawn, little things like that. So you could say to
Yeah.
yourself, you know what, I could be able to save that little extra money and look at what you're spending. Oh,
Yeah,
God, did I
absolutely.
have to spend $100 on that steak the other day? Just look at what you're spending, and then because I like to say that's negative thinking. You can't just say,
Yeah.
well, I'm living this kind of way, and it just has to
Hmm.
work this way because I'm living this
Right.
way,
The
and it
words
never.
that come in, the words that come out of your mouth manifest what you're what
Exactly.
you're doing in your life. So if you're if you think you are poor or broke, that's a mindset. We're all rich and full of life and full of energy and love and finances. God wants you to have a healthy bank account. He don't want you to be out here struggling with some
Yes,
coins. You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? But he also gave us the mind to think as well. So you need to be a little bit more strategic on where you spend your money. So just like you said, and even if you're in fashion, start cleaning out closets. Do consultations. Even if you do like a fashion blog, if you're in the fashion, and start partnering up with different types of people to give you a percentage off of their clothing, and then after that you can continue to generate another stream of income, which is just starting to get more money out of that. So use the things that you love wholeheartedly outside of your 9 to 5. If you do have that 9 to 5, use what you love the most to generate money for you.
Wonderful. And last, I want to add to that is when you do have your savings account now, do
Hmm.
not, and I wave my hands in the air, not because I don't care, but to the point, Do not see it as extra money and say,
Yes.
girl,
Oh my
I
goodness.
bought a bottle of Patron and guess what? I'm broke, and I need to go take out the savings. No, 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 no. Me personally, with my savings account, guess what? I don't have the debit card for it, and it's not linked to the app because out of mind, out of sight. Don't go looking at your money, people, because you're gonna
Right.
sit there and say to yourself, "Oh, I got $100 in it. Let me take it out." No, don't touch it. That's why it's a savings. Don't touch it. If you don't have the money, oh well. You wait until payday again, or however you hustle again back to make back that money. Do not just say, "Oh, my savings is there, and I could fall back on that anytime I need it." Because
No, that is, it's not for that.
that's not.
My thing is, like, if you absolutely have to and it is an emergency, utilize it. However, replenish it right back.
Yes.
Replenish,
Right.
replenish. If you know you're like, dang, I gotta use that 1,000 for such and such and such and such because you got this huge bill from, like, I don't know, like from you because you don't have any insurance, or you do have insurance and you got a bill from the emergency room or something. And boom, that's $400. So yeah, you could utilize it like that, but make sure on your next check, put that money back in there.
Exactly.
Don't do yourself like
and I'm
that.
going to move over to this next question. I think this is a really good one. And from here it says, describe the most successful financial strategy you have developed.
Because they're different ones. Let me see. The best financial strategy that I've used, honestly, is the one that I created and is on my website. So it's basically where I have a certain amount of money that I pay for my rent. I have a certain amount of money that I use for groceries. I have a certain amount of money that I use for the things that I love as far as entertainment and shopping. Yes. And I make sure that those pools never mix.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
I make sure that they don't mix. And you just have to make sure that you're being smart about the decisions that you're making when you're purchasing something. If you see something and it's above your means, don't do it. Stay within your means. Stay within your means. That's it.
I agree. And I think one thing I could definitely add to it is people, don't be afraid of the word credit. Look at your credit. Look at it monthly. Look what's going on. You don't want nobody to just claim identity theft and buy that TV and inside a Best Buy.
Yeah.
Say, oh my God, what is going on? I never knew that because, long story short, I had a friend that, she wasn't aware of her credit. And when it was time for her to get an apartment, because she was here and, trying to move here to New York, she couldn't even get the apartment because, long story short, a family member used her name and tarnished her credit. So here she is out of bad credit and can't be able to get a place for her own. So you guys definitely pay attention to that. Pay attention to your credit. Look at your scores. Look if there's something funny or if there's some kind of like record or something. And you say, I didn't buy no yacht. I mean,
yeah, no, I look at mine.
Very important because you don't want an emergency hit you and you have to leave to go somewhere, or something happens where they have to run your credit and they say, well, ma'am, your credit is -4. So we can't help you this afternoon. So no, but all jokes aside, please use a lot of resources for that. And like you said, savings and a lot of different things. I think we do have time for one more question if anybody wants to ask.
Real quick, there is an option. You can go to Experian and actually get your credit boosted a couple of points. I'll get connected with you, and then that way I can let you know what that looks like. But it definitely boosts your credit score, maybe 5, 6, 7 points.
That's great. And I think that is very important as far as making sure that it's boosted, it's looking healthy. Like I always say, you work out in the gym, you want to work on that. Make sure that you're not spending too much. And make sure that it's in your best advantage, because I think that these things, not necessarily, you don't know all the time in high school. It's like a little bit of trial and error. But now that you know about it,
pay your bills on time, y'all.
Yes.
Pay them on time. Every time I pay something with a credit card, the next month I pay it off. That's it.
Exactly. I agree.
There's no, I'm not trying to let you build no interest on my stuff. So now I got to pay you. I got to rob Peter to pay Paul. No, we're not doing that. I'm just going to go ahead and pay.
I agree.
If that bill is, whatever that bill is, that next month, pay it off. That boosts your credit. Absolutely.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, somebody said, wow, this is such an amazing live. Thanks for all the info. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. But to add to what you're saying, I totally agree. I know for myself, if I do happen to use my credit card, and let's say if I make a purchase for $100, guess what? I know I have the $100 in my hand that I'm going to pay off right then, right there.
Right, absolutely.
You don't want to get to the point where it's building up.
My advice is when you use the credit card, already have it in your account.
Yes. And just
already have it.
Yeah.
So that way you're like, oh, okay, so that's just gonna go to that. Yeah. So just hold off on that 100, 200, whatever it is that you already spent on your credit card. Make sure it's there, so that way you can pay it off that next month.
Because that percentage of utilization, once it's low, that it can make or break points on your credit. If that
stay below 30%.
Yeah, because I know in a point system in high school, 100% points, that's great because you got an A. But you don't want 100%.
Use 30% of the maximum amount of your credit card. Please do not use any more.
Yeah, no. So don't look at that kind of point system for making sure your credit or whatever is great. That's not the right one. Definitely look into it and research. Also, TurboTax has another great tools as far as with things like that. It shows you, okay, if you do have some extra income, this is what you could do with it. This is some kind of like guidelines on how to get those scores improved if needed and so on.
Yeah.
So I know for myself every day I'm looking at, well, not every day, but every month.
Frequently. Yeah, because it's definitely in my email. Yes, I definitely utilize that as well. I use Credit Karma, and they show me everything that I need to see in order to do the things that I need to do to make sure that score is rising.
Yes.
Stay rising.
One last thing I could definitely add that is like really old school. This is like my finance.
What you about to say?
Is that go when you log into your desktop and let's say you bank with Chase, you go in and download your statement as an Excel. And then there's like ways you could separate it and look at how much you're spending for the cost of food and look at how you're doing all these different things and say to yourself, well, you know what? Once you're seeing it in front of you, see it to believe it, as I like to say. And say, wow, you know what? I think I gotta figure out this issue here. I keep buying carrots at $100 all month long. Look into that and look at your statements, people. Make sure that things that you're purchasing is from you. Make sure because there's a lot of things that could go wrong. Like if
that's so true. I look at my checking account and my savings account often to make sure that like no one accidentally use my information for anything. I'm like, wait a minute, what's that? I don't remember paying for that.
Exactly.
Where's my credit? Where's my debit card?
Exactly. I remember one time I was actually on vacation and somebody used my debit card and spent $200 and I'm out the country. I'll call the people so quick. I said, listen, how? This is not me. I'm not even in the country. And somebody spent $200 in Toys R Us, out of all places.
Toys R Us?
Yes. Oh, Chase actually does that for you on the app now. But it makes sense for people to make sure by downloading. Oh, okay. Maybe I need to update my app because it's still looking all grainy.
Yeah. Well, that works too. Thank you for that comment.
Thank you. That's my loving aunt. Hey,
all right.
Oh, hey. Yes. Oh, so we're getting down to the countdown because IG Police is about to kick us out of the club, people. But thank you much for joining. And Brittany, a round of applause, people. Yay!
Thank you. I had so much fun, guys. This was awesome. This is
wonderful.
Amazing.
So I will post this video and I will also send that to you. And then also DM me. And if for anybody, please make sure to DM Brittany if you have any questions or concerns. And I will also send like a little newsletter. Make sure to subscribe and also go to her website. My subscription, you could just go on my link or whatever, and it will get that information out to you guys. And again, do not be afraid to ask. And Brittany, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, my friend. I love you so much. This was great.
No, you're welcome. I hope to see you soon after.
Absolutely. I know, girl. We gotta,
I do also have another live today at 7 p.m. our time. We had some miscommunication. Well, some other things. So we're gonna do another live. So again, you guys can see me again at 7, cracking jokes. So you're welcome. Everybody's saying thank you. Oh, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right,
this is great.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys. DM me.